The day was meant to be joyous. The Johnsons had polished their shoes, combed their hair twice, and whispered prayers in the car ride over. Adoption day was sacred, one more member to complete their family portrait. They expected a shy little girl, perhaps clutching a teddy bear worn from too much hugging. Instead, out from the shadows of the orphanage hallway walked Vanessa. Her steps were slow, deliberate, the way an actress might enter a stage. A pale-faced child, no taller than the youngest Johnson, but with perfectly drawn eyeliner, glossy dark hair pinned neatly, and a velvet ribbon tied snugly around her neck. The ribbon looked too tight, like it was holding something in place. She smiled sweetly, but her eyes did not belong to a child. They flickered across the room, not with curiosity, but with calculation. It was the way a banker might glance at numbers, or a thief at locks. "Say hello, sweetheart," the nun urged softly. Vanessa curtsied. "Hello. I'm Vanessa. And this place is utterly dreary. When do we leave?" The parents chuckled, assuming she was precocious. But the nun's lips tightened, as if relieved she was finally someone else's problem. That night, at the Johnson dinner table, the family joined hands to say grace. Candlelight flickered. The roast chicken smelled comforting. Just as the father murmured, "Bless this meal," Vanessa interrupted. "Excuse me," she said flatly, her fork poised like a dagger. "Do you serve wine with chicken, or are we just peasants?" The parents laughed nervously, their eyes darting to one another. The children stared, wide-eyed. The dog whimpered and crawled under the table, growling low in its throat. Vanessa chewed slowly, deliberately, like someone judging a chef. When she finished her portion, she dabbed her lips with the cloth napkin and whispered, "Next time, rosemary. This tastes like mediocrity." That night, no one slept easily. Strange noises soon followed. The parents told themselves it was the usual scuffling of a child adjusting to a new home. Dolls tumbling. Toys being arranged. Maybe a night terror or two. But when the mother cracked Vanessa's door open at midnight, she froze. The girl was not playing with dolls. She was perched on the edge of her bed, legs crossed, painting her nails in the dark. The only light came from a single candle, its flame throwing monstrous shadows across the walls. On the floor, a dusty record player spun. From its crackling speaker, a saxophone moaned, a lonely jazz tune, the kind you'd hear in a smoke-filled bar after midnight. Vanessa hummed along, off-key but haunting. "Sweetheart," the mother whispered, voice trembling. "It's very late. Children should be asleep." Vanessa looked up slowly. Her eyes caught the candlelight, sharp and adult. "Children sleep," she said. "Women endure." The mother closed the door. And locked her own. At school, Vanessa's habits were no less unnerving. During recess, the other children skipped rope and played hopscotch, shrieking with laughter. Vanessa did not join them. She sat cross-legged in the sandbox, puffing on a candy cigarette with eerie conviction, tapping imaginary ash into the dirt. Her eyes scanned the playground with the weariness of a 40-year-old office worker. "Stocks are going to crash in '09, she muttered under her breath. "I can feel it." The teacher, overhearing, gave her a nervous smile. "My, what an imaginative child you are." Vanessa turned, candy cigarette dangling between two fingers like a seasoned smoker. "Imaginative," she whispered. "No. Experienced." By the end of the week, the other children avoided her. Whispers spread, she stared too long, she spoke too old, she knew things she shouldn't. The teachers, however, called her mature for her age. The Johnsons told themselves she was simply unique. But the truth lingered in the corners of the house, in the flickering shadows, in the way the dog refused to sleep near her room. The truth was darker. And it was only just beginning to show. Vanessa's room was a strange place. The wallpaper peeled in corners, yet somehow smelled faintly of expensive perfume. Every night, a dim orange lamp flickered on long after bedtime, throwing shadows that danced like whispers. And in the center of her room sat her dollhouse, a grand, two-story miniature mansion with chandeliers made from old earrings and walls papered in pages from a fashion magazine. But inside, there were no normal dolls. The tiny rooms were occupied by Barbie-sized mannequins dressed like grown-ups, in little business suits, pencil skirts, and one wearing a tie suspiciously similar to her father's. Another wore a miniature version of her mother's favorite apron. She'd sit for hours, cross-legged, moving the figures delicately as she whispered in that low, too mature tone. Larry cheats on Susan. Susan gets half the assets. That's divorce law, sweethearts. Then she'd giggle, that kind of giggle that makes your skin crawl because it doesn't sound like a child's laughter, it sounds like an adult remembering something unpleasant. Sometimes the mannequins would lose limbs. Sometimes heads were turned the wrong way. But every morning, Vanessa would fix their hair, straighten their clothes, and greet them softly, "Good morning, friends. Don't look so stiff." One night, the mother, Marie, woke to faint murmuring from down the hallway. She crept closer. Vanessa's door was slightly ajar, a flickering glow spilling out. Peeking inside, she froze. Vanessa sat in front of the dollhouse again, whispering to the little figures. But this time, one of the dolls was new. It had short brown hair made of yarn, a floral dress. And it looked exactly like Marie. "Mommy doesn't trust Vanessa," the girl murmured, moving the doll's arm stiffly. "Mommy watches too much. Mommy needs a nap." Then, in one smooth motion, Vanessa plucked the doll's tiny head off and dropped it in a teacup. Marie's breath hitched. The floor creaked under her foot. Vanessa's head turned toward the door with slow, unnatural precision. Her smile spread, too wide. "Can't sleep, Mommy," she said sweetly. "I was just playing family." Marie forced a shaky laugh, stepping back. "It's late, sweetheart. Get some rest." Vanessa's eyes gleamed. "Of course. But don't worry. I'll take care of everything when you're gone." Marie didn't sleep at all that night. The Johnson garden had always been Marie's pride. Rows of roses, neat soil, everything proper and fragrant. Until one morning, she found Vanessa digging holes behind the house. Her white dress was muddy, her ribbon askew, her hands brown to the wrists. "Vanessa. What on earth are you doing?" The girl looked up, cheerful as ever. "Planting beauty." Marie frowned. "Those aren't seeds." Vanessa tilted her head, blinking innocently. "They will be." She stepped aside, revealing the soil. Half buried beneath the dirt were lipstick tubes, perfume bottles, and a single red high heel sticking up like a grave marker. Marie's mouth went dry. "Where did you get those?" Vanessa shrugged. "From your closet. They weren't working for you anyway." A chill went through Marie, but before she could speak, Vanessa reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver cup. "Now, it's time to water them properly." She poured clear liquid over the soil, murmuring in a language that didn't belong to this century. It wasn't childish babble, it had rhythm, like an incantation. The air turned colder. The dog began to bark furiously from the porch. Vanessa looked up, smiling too brightly. "Don't worry, Mommy. They'll grow into better things than tulips." That night, Marie watched from the window as Vanessa crept outside again, barefoot and whispering to the garden. The moonlight glinted off her silver cup. For a moment, Marie swore she saw the dirt moving, pulsing, as if breathing back. The next morning, a scream echoed through the yard. One of the flowers had bloomed overnight, dark as ink, its petals smelling strongly of Chanel No. 5. Vanessa appeared behind Marie, sipping warm milk from a mug. Her eyes sparkled. "See," she said softly. "Beauty takes sacrifice." Marie stepped back, horrified, noticing something else. One of her other red heels was missing from the closet. "Vanessa," she whispered. "What else did you plant?" The girl's smile stretched. "Oh, Mommy," she said sweetly. "Wouldn't you like to find out?" And then she turned back to her garden, humming that same eerie jazz tune she played in the dark, off-key, slow, and full of secrets. Vanessa had a way of getting close to people. Too close. At first, it seemed innocent. A touch on the shoulder. A laugh a little too rehearsed. A compliment that felt rehearsed too. She didn't act like a child desperate for attention, she acted like a woman auditioning for the role of second wife. One evening, while the father worked late in his study, Vanessa appeared by the doorway holding a steaming mug. "I made you coffee," she said softly. He blinked. "Sweetheart, that's very nice, but you shouldn't." I use the French press, she interrupted proudly, setting it down. It's smoother that way. Less acidic. I don't like men who get stomachaches. He froze. Men. Her head tilted slightly, smile unwavering. Drink it while it's hot. That same night, the mother awoke to a soft rustling sound. She followed it to the master bedroom mirror, only to find Vanessa standing in front of it, wearing her red dress. The one she'd worn on her anniversary. Vanessa turned slowly, her reflection catching the moonlight. Don't I look? She smoothed the dress over her tiny frame, the hem dragging on the floor. Sophisticated. Marie's heart pounded. Vanessa, that's not a toy. Take it off. Vanessa turned back to the mirror, her smile fading into something colder. You don't appreciate what you have, she murmured. You waste beauty like it's infinite. Marie's throat went dry. Go to bed. But Vanessa just stared into the mirror and whispered, maybe I should stay here instead. The next morning, the father found his work papers neatly stacked, along with a note written in beautiful cursive. You missed a decimal in your budget. Fixed it for you. V. The son swore he saw her at 3 a.m. in the hallway, sipping black coffee from a mug that said #BossLady, scrolling through a newspaper classified section with the concentration of someone hunting for stock tips. The daughter swore she saw Vanessa sitting at the kitchen table writing checks, muttering under her breath. Property tax, sales tax, soul tax, they'll tax you even after death. Children shouldn't know about taxes. Children shouldn't know how to brew a perfect martini. Children shouldn't be caught adjusting the mother's perfume and whispering. She wore too much of this when she went out. No wonder he looked at her that way. The tension in the house grew unbearable. Marie started locking her closet. Her husband avoided Vanessa's gaze, though she always seemed to already be looking at him. Even the family photos began to change. Vanessa would quietly insert herself into frames, standing just a little closer to the father, her smile wider each time. One morning, Marie found an old photo of her wedding, and there, crudely pasted in the background, was Vanessa, grinning behind them. That night, thunder rolled outside, heavy and endless. And that was when everything fell apart. The storm raged like a warning. Rain hammered against the windows as Marie stirred awake, her heart pounding with that strange instinct only mothers have. Something was wrong. She could hear faint humming down the hallway, a familiar off-key jazz tune. She rose quietly, clutching her robe, and followed the sound to the bathroom. The light was on. Inside, Vanessa stood on a stool in front of the mirror, the counter scattered with adult things, eyeliner, lipstick, tweezers, and a half-finished glass of red wine. But she wasn't brushing her teeth. She was untying the velvet ribbon around her neck. It slid off slowly, and the skin beneath sagged, faint lines etched around her mouth, her jaw sharper, eyes sunken but alive with something awful. Vanessa turned toward the mirror, flexing her neck like she'd just been freed. Marie gasped. What are you doing? Vanessa smiled, that eerie, knowing smile. Oh, Mommy. You didn't think good skin came naturally, did you? The voice that came out of her didn't belong to a child anymore. It was older, raspier, full of bitterness and caffeine. Marie stumbled back. You're not 9. Vanessa turned slowly, her reflection grinning wider than her face. I'm 29, she hissed. And proud of it. She stepped down from the stool, her shadow stretching unnaturally long across the floor. I fooled them all. Orphanages, foster homes, charities. Everyone wants to help a sad little girl. They never ask questions. They just feed me, house me, love me. She picked up the wine glass and swirled it lazily. Do you know how expensive rent is, Marie? The bills, the groceries, the emotional labor. Marie shook her head, trembling. You're insane. Vanessa's grin dropped. No. I'm resourceful. She hurled the wine glass against the wall, it shattered into crimson shards. Lightning flashed. I'll never pay bills again, Vanessa shrieked. Families like you are my retirement plan. Marie screamed for her husband. He burst in, and froze. Vanessa stood there, hair wild, eyes gleaming, a shard of glass in her hand. You can't get rid of me, she hissed, stalking forward. You brought me here. You wanted a daughter. Her voice cracked into laughter, high-pitched, deranged, echoing against the tiles. I'm the daughter of your dreams, Mommy. And your nightmares. She lunged. Thunder roared. The lights flickered. When the police arrived, the house was wrecked. Blood on the bathroom floor, but no Vanessa. Only a faint trace of perfume and a single velvet ribbon floating in the sink. The officer found a note taped to the mirror in perfect cursive. You'll miss me when tax season comes. V. The police came before dawn. The storm had cleared, leaving the house soaked and silent. Windows shattered, furniture overturned, the scent of wine and perfume mingling with rainwater. Marie sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket, trembling as officers moved in and out. The father clutched the children close, eyes hollow. She just disappeared, Marie whispered again and again. She was right there. Then the lightning flashed, and gone. Only the ribbon remained, floating in the sink like something freshly shed. The house never felt warm again. Even after they painted the walls and sold it months later, neighbors said they could still hear jazz music faintly on rainy nights, a broken record player spinning somewhere upstairs. Weeks later, across town, inside a cozy Starbucks buzzing with laughter and the hiss of steaming milk, a woman walked in. At first glance, she could have been any college student, petite frame, neat dress, large sunglasses covering half her face. She walked with quiet confidence, almost too deliberate for her size. She ordered at the counter, voice light and practiced. Pumpkin spice latte. Almond milk. 2 shots of espresso. Extra foam. Oh, and drizzle the caramel clockwise, please. The barista smiled awkwardly. Sure thing, miss. Name for the cup. She removed her sunglasses slowly. Her eyes, one too bright, one slightly sunken, met his. Vanessa, she said. Age 9. The barista laughed, assuming it was a joke. Good one. But she didn't laugh. She just smiled, polite, perfect, and hollow. She sat by the window, stirring her latte, humming that same off-key jazz tune under her breath. Outside, the reflection in the glass didn't quite match her movements. Her reflection tilted its head before she did. Smiled wider than she was smiling. She sipped her drink, watching families pass by, children laughing, parents juggling shopping bags. Her gaze lingered on one particular family, a tired mother, a father on his phone, and 2 young kids tugging at their sleeves. Vanessa's smile softened. They look perfect, she whispered to her cup. From her purse, she pulled out a small, folded paper, an adoption brochure. The logo at the top read, New Beginnings Foundation. The corners of the paper were torn, but the family in the photo was new. Hopeful. Smiling. She traced the image of the mother's face with a manicured finger. Marie, she murmured fondly. You really were too sensitive. She set the paper down, fixed her ribbon back in place, and stood. As she left, her half-finished latte remained on the table, its foam marked with a perfect lipstick print. The cup was empty except for a small note at the bottom, scrawled in flawless cursive. Some angels don't fall. They relocate. V. That night, in a quiet suburb 2 towns away, a doorbell rang. A new couple opened it to see a small girl standing in the rain, holding a tattered suitcase and smiling sweetly. Hello, she said in a tiny voice. I'm Vanessa. I brought my own ribbon. Thunder rumbled far in the distance. And somewhere, faintly, the sound of jazz began to play again.